Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Bet you didn't know facts. And today, if you can't tell, I am a sailor. But today's facts will be about the Titanic. I get the shirt here. Okay, the Titanic. Am I wearing a blue shirt? Okay. All right, I am one of the sailors on the Titanic. You know, the Titanic was one of my most favorite movies. It's a very, very historical event that took place in 1912, 10, 12, 13. The movie was tremendous. The facts are just, if I had lived another life, I felt like I probably would have been on the Titanic with Jack. Okay. All right, let's get with it. Here are some facts that nobody knows about the Titanic. 30 to be exact. Number 1. The Titanic was the largest moving object ever built back in 1912. It would be miniature compared to today's cruise ships. It was 882 feet, 9 inches long, and 141 high. Today's largest cruise ships, the Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas, is 1,187 feet in length and reaches 213 feet above the waterline. That's one big boat. Number 2, one of the Titanic's funnels was just for looks. 3 of the 4 funnels were functional, but the 4th was just there to make the ship more beautiful and just used as a ventilation shaft for the kitchen. Beauty, beauty, beauty. Number 3, the Titanic's interior was modeled after the Ritz Hotel. That was a luxurious, expensive for all who was on board. The first class cabins were designed in the Empire style. The goal was to give the passengers the experience, the glamorous style, and not on a cruise, like they were not on a cruise, but in a beautiful grand house on shore. And I'm sure they wish they were. Number 4, the Titanic Belfast is a cleverly designed museum that can hold the same capacity as the Titanic could have held. I hope they have more lifeboats on that. Number 5, a novel may have predicted the Titanic would sink 14 years previously in 1898. 14 years before the Titanic sank, the American author Morgan Robertson wrote a novella that was titled The Wreck of the Titan. This book mysteriously was about a fictional ocean liner that looked just like the Titanic. It sinks due to a collision with an iceberg. The ship in the book is described as unsinkable, and it doesn't have enough lifeboats for everyone on board. Could it be a prediction? Number 6, there was another ship that was closer, and if it hadn't missed the signals, could have saved more people. This ship was the Californian, and it was the closest ship when the Titanic began sending out distress signals. It wasn't the Carpathia. The California didn't respond until it was too late to help. At 12:45 a.m. on the 15th of April 1912, crew members on the Californian saw mysterious lights in the sky. The distress flares sent up from the Titanic and woke up their captain to tell him. But unfortunately, the captain issued no orders because the ship's wireless operator was already in bed. The California was not aware of any distress signals from the Titanic until the morning. By then, the Carpathian had already picked up all the survivors. The United States Senate inquiry into the sinking concluded that the Californian could have saved many more, or all of the lives that were lost had a prompt response been mounted to the Titanic's distress rockets. I don't know that I would be very devastated if I had been that captain. Number 7. No one knows exactly who all died on that fateful Titanic voyage. There were so many forgotten passengers. The official number of the dead on the Titanic was listed as 1,503. One of the 2,208 on board, there were 705 survivors, and over 100 unidentified bodies were found in Halifax, and they were buried there in Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is because so many people traveled under false names, and they were from so many places. It proved impossible to identify even the recovered bodies. There was a 19-month-old little boy who was buried under the marker unknown child, who wasn't identified until 2008 after extensive DNA tests to be, in fact, Sidney Leslie Goodwin. Oh, that's so sad, isn't it? That's so sad. One of the only survivors was a drunk guy, because the alcohol kept him warm. His name was Charles Jogan, and he was the chief baker on the ship. To survive, he was drinking all the whiskey he could find from the ship's liquor storage to prepare himself for the cold water. When he had enough drink, Joplin began tossing chairs overboard to be used as flotation devices, and he survived. The famous violin that was played on board the Titanic was amazingly recovered from the sea. Wallace Hartley was a violin player, and his violin was thought to have been lost in the sinking. But in 2006, a woman found it in her attic. The violin was tested for 7 years, and researchers determined that it was, in fact, the actual violin upon which Hartley played Near My God to Thee as the Titanic sank. The violin is not part of the Titanic experience in Belfast because it is privately owned. It was sold in 2013 for £900,000 in just 10 minutes at an auction in with Wiltshire. Number 10. The Titanic lies 12,000 feet underwater. The ruins of the Titanic has a watery grave about 2.5 miles beneath the ocean's surface. 370 miles of the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. The ship lies in two pieces. And there have been many people down trying to get it up. And you know what just happened recently? And that's another horror story. Something about this Titanic thing just carries on bad stuff. I don't even want to get into that, because I will be upset about that. The Titanic was carrying 6,598 tons of coal to New York. That's a lot of coal. There was 12 cases of ostrich plumes in the cargo on the ship. The lifeboats in the Titanic were equipped with tins of crackers and water, but the survivors were not told about them. Of the 1,500 people who died when the Titanic sank, only 337 bodies were recovered. That's terrible, too. Number 15. It took the Titanic 2 hours and 40 minutes to sink after hitting the iceberg. 2 hours. Number 16. There were 35 engineering staff on the Titanic. Because they fought to keep the ship's power on so everyone could escape, they all lost their lives. And they are heroes. Number 17. There were 12 dogs on board the Titanic, and only 3 survived. 18. After the ship sank, most died of cardiac arrest within 15 to 30 minutes from the cold water. Jack. Only 37 seconds elapsed between the sighting of the iceberg and the collision. 37 seconds. Only 4 women from our first class died during the sinking, compared to 89 third-class women. Wasn't that gate locked? Number 21. The temperature of the ocean water was 28 degrees when the Titanic sank. Oh my goodness. 22. The most expensive cargo item that went down with the Titanic was the painting called the La Circa Cinevite by Mary Joseph Blondell. 97% of the 144 female first-class passengers were rescued. What? While 32.57% of their 175 male counterparts were saved. In second class, the passengers were not as lucky, with only 14 out of 168 surviving. The Titanic had 20,000 bottles of beer on board. Well, that man drank most of them, the chef. 1,500 bottles of wine. Oh, well, he drank that too. And 8,000 cigars. These were only for first-class passengers. You should be handing them out. Handing them out. You're going down and smoke on. 25. The iceberg that sank the Titanic was about 100 feet tall and came from a glacier in Greenland. There were just 37 seconds between... I think I already said that. I did. The lookouts for the Titanic, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, didn't have binoculars. They were locked in a cabinet with no key. Well, that's very helpful, isn't it? The Titanic had a priest on board, and he stayed behind to hear confessions and to give absolution to the people who were left behind on the ship. And he is also a hero. Thank you, Jesus. It took well over 70 years to find the Titanic. And it's still down there. Only 4 women... I think I already said that too. So, that's not 30. Probably 28 facts. Because some of them were duplicates. I'm so sorry. So, that is your depressing facts about the Titanic. Oh, now I'm all sad. So, let's have a happy day, though. Let's make it happy, even though this next Titanic thing was even worse. I didn't mean to bring bad news. I just wanted to share some history about the Titanic. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time on Bet You Didn't Know Facts.